So apart from Ray, who was your favourite Arsenal player?
I was a big fan of Ray, yeah. As long as there was nerves and you still believe. If you don't believe and you're nervous, then that's a problem.
They'll always stay in my mind. That first Premier League title was amazing.
All the time that man wants to manage Arsenal, I'd be fully behind him. Your opponents can always beat you. You have to respect them all. When I'm not riding, there's nothing better than going to the Emirates to watch a live game.
Let's use a racing term. There's no one in that squad who's a course and distance winner.
No, absolutely.
How much of a worry is that?
It is a worry. It's up to the fans now to really get behind the team, if I'm being honest, and show them, come on, we're going to push you over the line, sort of thing.
Ryan, do you think Arsenal will win the title?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I'm still very bullish about Arsenal to win the title. I know it might go down to the wire now, very, very tight games, but I still think they've got enough in them to get a result at the Etihad and to go on to win the title.
Ryan, Ray, thank you very much indeed for your time. 2 champions in your own field, and the football club that connects you are desperate to be champions. Ray, it could all be about the game at the Etihad at the weekend. How should Arsenal approach that?
Well, I expect Man City to have more possession. You've got to play on the break. You've got to be hard to beat. You've got to defend for your lives. You've got to play a little bit like the first leg of Sporting Lisbon, how they played there. I thought they defended very well at times. Ray has got to have a really good game in goal. And hopefully, they'll be piling the pressure on you, can hit them on the break. Set play is obviously very important as well. But a massive game, Mark. Really, really big game. I'll be hiding behind the couch, probably watching it. But nerves are now coming into it a little bit, but a really massive game at the weekend.
Are you a nervous watcher of Arsenal?
No, I'm not. It's not going to change what happens in my day.
You're right.
Fortunately, I'll be riding that afternoon.
Okay, that's quite nice though, so you can actually park it.
Yeah, exactly. And if it goes my way, then it's a really good day. And if it doesn't, we'll just move on.
How would you want Arsenal to go about the game?
I'm not in any position to be telling any managers and footballers what they should be doing. I have a lot of belief in the manager. I hope the players do as well. And as long as they go out there and execute what he wants them to do, and they give it their best, I can never complain about anything other than that.
It's not been an easy 10 days, 2 weeks for the manager, but that hasn't changed your belief in Mikel Arteta.
Not at all, no. I think he's built a really powerful team. I loved how they were going about it early on in the year. It might not be to everyone's taste, but I thought he's built a team that's consistent. Okay, results have gone against them the last month or so, I suppose, but there's still plenty of time. There's plenty of matches still to be won, and as long as they keep believing, as long as they keep doing everything they need to do correctly, hopefully they'll get over the line.
Ray, how lonely is it for Mikel Arteta at the moment? Because everybody's got a view suddenly, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of people around him. He's got a lot of staff members and they're keeping him going. The spirit's got to stay high. I know it's difficult. You can't come in and be, show a different sort of side to yourself. You've got to still be positive. He won't be happy with some of the performances. I'm sure he's mentioned that to the players. The players won't be either because they set their standards. And if you drop below that, that's where you need a few characters, Mark, in the dressing room to say, come on, we've got to do a little bit more here. We don't realise we weren't going to get a better opportunity to win that title. I mean, they haven't won it for 24 years, is it? Or
22 years. Since
Sorry,
your
22
day,
years, yeah. So what's an opportunity now with the position we're in? And look, there's only a few games left, so let's give it everything we've got. The thing for me, when I used to walk off the pitch, I always used to think to myself, have I done the best I could today? And there's never a doubt in my mind. I tried my best. I run the most I could. Sometimes you're going to have bad games. You can't play well every week. But as long as you put the effort in and the commitment for the other players around you as well, that's what I want to see now with this team going forward. And if they can do that, they've still got lots of quality and there's still lots to play for.
Do you have to think that sometimes? So long as I do the best that I can, the outcome will look after itself. And the outcome doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win every time, by the way.
All you can ever do is your best. I watched Ray playing in that team, and they were very committed and they were always giving it their all. I see plenty of leaders in the Arsenal team now. The Gabriel at the back, Declan Rice in midfield, Zubimendi's been great all year. Timber, I love him. Calafiori. I don't think any of them are going to shark it, and they'll be playing against a very good team this weekend, who are coached by the best. He'll have a plan. He'll make it hard for them, like he did in the cup final. That day he got everything spot on, didn't he? But anything can happen in one game, and there's enough talent there they'll be hard to beat for anyone. Make it hard for anyone to beat them.
Ryan, how do you stop nerves getting the better of yourself?
Well, I'd like to think all those players they played so many games, and I think they know what they need, and they'll use that in the right way. If there's any sort of nerves, that means it's important. As long as those nerves and you still believe. If you don't believe and you're nervous, then that's a problem. But they have to go out there, I think, and believe they can win and know what they have to do to win.
But did you have to get into a situation where you could conquer your nerves, or were you never in that position in the first place, that you were so nervous that you thought it might affect your ability and your performance?
Once you on a horse, once you get out and you get down to the start, I don't remember being at a point where I was so nervous I couldn't do what I needed to do. The worst things are when there's expectation and you don't believe it. As long as you believe it, you can go out and do it.
Have you ever been, to an extent, nervous, Ray? Obviously, football's different because you've got 10 other players, Ryan's on a horse. But where you thought, I need to be able to do something about how nervous I feel about this game. The cup final, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was never, I was a bit blasé, really. I always just treated every game the same. And Arsene Wenger was very good at that. I mean, Arsene Wenger used to, if we were playing the bottom of the table in the Premier League, or we were playing a cup final, we approached the game exactly the same. So sometimes you can overthink football or racing or whatever it is, but you're just trying to do the same thing every week. I had the same pre-match meal every game. I do the same preparation before, if it's a cup final or if it's not. So I think in your mindset, it's just another game. And when you get out there, of course, it's a bigger game, it's a bigger stadium, bigger crowd. But then you're in your zone then. Once you get on that pitch and the whistle goes, you're in your zone. And all you've got to do then is what the manager's told you to do to Monday to Friday, do your job as a team member. And hopefully all the other 10 players do their jobs as well. And then on paper, we should win the game. And that's how I used to look at it. And it always worked. It seemed to work for me because it's a situation you can overthink things. I remember George Graham, 93, and he took us in a hotel for 4 nights. 3 nights, 4
Before the FA Cup final?
Yes. Suddenly, why win a hotel for 3 nights? It must be a big game. And then sometimes you think it must be a big game, but which it is a big game, but you try and approach it exactly the same as any other league game. And I think that helped a lot of the players out, if I'm being honest.
You have to be consistent, and you have to know any race, any game, your opponents can always beat you. You have to respect them all. And Ray's right, you have to treat every day exactly the same, because every time you have to go out there and do your job.
So the expectation for you, if you're the favourite for the derby or you're riding at Newmarket in an ordinary meeting Thursday 2 o'clock, you've almost tricked your mind into treating it exactly the same way.
You have to go out there and perform, and you're expected to perform. And obviously, you know the bigger days are more important, but you still have to go through exactly the same thing. And if you don't, you will get beat, because you can guarantee someone is doing everything they can. In a horse race, majority of the time you're going to get beat. That's part of the game, and you have to deal with defeat. But as long as you've done everything right, it doesn't really matter. If you've done all you can, you've maximised your horse's chances. Same in a football match. If that team have done everything they can to win, then it doesn't matter.
That's why you see so many shocks in the early rounds of the FA Cup, because it's that mentality. You go away games, especially away games to a second division side, League One side, the surroundings are not the same as what you're used to. But in your mindset, it only takes 3 or 4 players not to turn up. And that's when you see the shocks on the cards. That's where, because it's their cup final. It's the team you're playing. They're playing Arsenal or Man United or Liverpool, whoever it is.
Sort of Southampton.
Yeah, exactly. It's their cup final. They're going to give everything they've got. And it only takes 3 or 4 players not to fancy it or don't like this place, or especially third round, because it's January time and you get some it's the weather's not the greatest and everything about it. And that's why you need to get that mindset right, because the bigger picture is the FA Cup final. But you got to get through the third and fourth rounds first, which is the harder games probably than the FA Cup final.
So what we're saying every time, Ryan, is go through the process, and that way you give yourself the best chance of success.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to do it every day. Because I think it's about being consistent and turning up with the right frame of mind, doing your job.
That is the one that really upset Arsene Wenger, if I'm being honest, when we was there, because he didn't win that Champions League and we got close in 2006 at Barcelona. And the club has never won it. So, it could be a big year if we can get to that final. But there's some top teams in it still, we know that. There's the latter stages of the tournament, PSG are coming good now and all them sort of teams. So it's going to be difficult, but it'd be a great trophy to win for the club itself and the players, because, to win the best trophy in the world, it is the best trophy, domestic trophy, really, cup competition in the world, because it's the elite teams in it. So that would be brilliant for Arsenal.
Ray, what happens if Arsenal win nothing this season?
Of course, it's an impact, and I think the fans will be split with it. I think some fans will say, well, yeah, it's how you lose it as well. I know last few games hasn't been great, and the fans are getting a bit restless, but it's up to the fans now to really get behind the team, if I'm being honest, and show that, come on, we're going to push you over the line, sort of thing. But I think of course he will be under pressure. Every single manager in that league is under pressure, and they're realistic about it. They know when they take that job, they need to win trophies. The money Arsenal have spent, I think the Kroenkes have really stood behind and said, look, we're going to spend the money now and it's down to you guys. They've got an excellent squad of players, as Ryan says there, but now it's getting to the next step and winning that first trophy as a group of players. And then you can really go on, because it is a young enough squad to go and dominate maybe for a couple of years. But I will be under pressure, but I will keep him. I don't think there's another. The problem you've got with managers is that who's going to replace him? That is hard. If there's someone out there who's like, oh yeah, okay, we have him. We've seen what Manchester United have gone through. We've seen what Chelsea have gone through. They're big clubs, and they've had so many changes of managers and personnel and staff and all that sort of stuff. So I think he will get another year. I definitely think he'll get one more chance. But then if he didn't win it then, I think he'd be the one who says, well, I can't do the job what Arsenal want of me. So he might even walk away himself, who knows.
Well, it's a valid conversation, isn't it, if he doesn't win anything this year, Ryan?
I wouldn't have thought so, no. I think you only have to look at what other teams have been through. I think the man's done an exceptional job to bring the team from where they were. I think you see over the years, the teams that are successful, they stick with their managers. And yeah, it would be a massive disappointment, but I still believe he's done a great job, and I'd be 100% behind him. And if you won, I think you'd be making a massive mistake. As Ray said, he has been backed, and the ownership have really got behind the team, and I think all the players will still be with him. If you lose someone like him, I think it would set the club back, and all the time that man wants to manage Arsenal, I'd be fully behind him.
And is it a thing as a sportsman that when you have your first big win, you suddenly feel different? And obviously football's a team game. We'll come on to what Ray's team in 1998. But when you had your first big win, what does that do to you in terms of a sportsman and your level of confidence and in your belief of what you could then go on to do?
I don't know. I think that's an individual thing. Some people, once they win something, they've maybe conquered it and they've done their bit. Other people want more of it. With talking about the football there, you're just hoping, from our point of view, that Arsenal get over the line and then they might be able to kick on and go to the next level again.
What did it do for you, your first big win?
Nothing. I win it on road in the next race and we keep going. I think it's very important to stay level-headed. You don't get too above yourself and you don't get too low when it goes against you. If you just stay, it's very boring, but if you just keep staying, keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's usually the right way. When you get the extremes, the highs and the lows, and the way the world is, people's is either right or wrong, isn't it? And usually the truth is somewhere in the middle.
What was it for you then? Because when you first got into the team, Arsenal won the league in 1991,
yes,
but didn't win anything again until Arsene Wenger came in 1998. So obviously you had people in your team who had won the league. That was probably an advantage, because they would say to you, Ray, this is what happens at this stage of the season. But as a group, what did it do?
We had a lot of players who've won big trophies. I mean, in 93 was my first trophy I won in the League Cup and in the FA Cup that year. But the League one was always the one you want to win for, the most. And it was a great season. But you looked around the dressing room and you knew you had winners in that team. And, you know, the likes of Tony Adams, Steve Bowl, Martin Keown. I always call them the back six, as they like to be called the back four, some of them, but there's 6 players there. And David don't like it either, by the way. David Seaman, well, wait a minute, it's back four. I end up saving everything. So, then you had the teams, what Wenger done such a great job in bringing some really flair players in, like Overmars and Manu Petit and Patrick in midfield. Then you had Anelka up front. Dennis was already there. He was a magnificent player. Ian Wright was still there. But it was a really long, hard process. And at one stage, at Little Man United, we're going to run away with it again. But we somehow got on a massive run of winning games of football. I think we won 10 in a row, something like that. We beat Manchester United at Old Trafford 1-0 over Mars. And then the belief got more and more, and the confidence, and you could see Sir Alex Ferguson getting worried now about the team who's chasing them. And lucky enough, we went on to win that league that year. And an amazing experience to just be involved, because it is a long, hard slog. As Ryan was saying, a horse, you know, that 1 mile 6, and you try and set your stall out early and try and get in good positions. But you have a lot of setbacks along the way. And lucky enough, we had the players and the squad itself too. And it wasn't big squads, by the way. It was only small squads in that era. But that was an amazing experience to pick that trophy up at Highbury. I thought the North Bank was going to fall down because the fans were loving it, and Tony Adams, and you know, it's his famous statue outside the ground when he scored that won the goal as well. So they'll always stay in my mind. That first Premier League title was amazing.
Well, then, how much do you worry that there's no one in the Arsenal squad who is? Let's use a racing term. There's no one in that squad who's a course and distance winner.
No, absolutely.
How much of a worry is that?
It is a worry. There's no doubt about that. You've got people like Bernardo Silva and Rodri, and all them guys have won plenty. Even Phil Foden's won plenty of trophies, and they've been there and done it. So that is the worry. That's why the League Cup was quite a big trophy to try and win, because that would have been the first trophy, and you know, the players would have really enjoyed winning that. You could see Pep Guardiola win that trophy and what it meant to him. So. I just hope they've got that little bit of a push now. Declan's in there; he's won a trophy with West Ham, obviously, and they could just get over the line, because this if they can win the Premier League, which they've got every opportunity still to do, it could be massive for the club going forward. And trophies wise, it could be a lot more coming into the club in the next few years.
Ryan, how good a footballer were you as a kid?
Not as good as people say I was. I loved playing football as a kid. Yeah, we had a good school team and. I had great fun. I used to love playing. Had a great Sunday league coach. Used to go there from the age of 5, and I loved playing football. And if I could have chose to do anything, it would have been. But I never had the technical ability, let alone the size and the stature or the engine that you needed.
But actually, in a perfect world, you would have been a footballer, would you?
Oh, I think every kid that ever plays is, well, they want to play football. But the thing is, you know, that's why. You always have to respect all the players, because to get to that level, it takes so much work and dedication. And I know they get well paid, but really, you're talking elite level sport. I mean, it's the pinnacle. It's the hardest sport in the world to get to the top of. I believe. You know, we all talk about like my sport. It's niche. You know, the ones that play Premier League football, you know, they're superstars, really. You know, and back in America, you have the NFL. It's that same thing, you know, like that's why you don't get maybe as good at boxers or track and field athletes, because they're playing NFL, you know. And in England, you know, the best athletes are going to want to play football, aren't they?
So if you grew up in Brighton, how come you were watching Ray and Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira at Highbury? How did that happen?
Oh, I was, we used to go to the Goldstone every week. Used to sit in the West Stand, especially the midweek games. They lost their ground and ended up going to Gillingham. My nan was from Islington, and she used to spend every Saturday afternoon listening to 5 Live, cheering on the Gunners. So as treats then, rather than going to Gillingham to watch Brighton play in the bottom division, we got to go to Highbury and watch these incredible players, you know, in the late 90s and early 2000s. And it was a magical time, and to be watching Arsenal then, but to be honest, I love going to watch football. When I'm not riding, there's nothing better than going to the Emirates to watch a live game, watching live sport, high level sport. You know, it's the best for me.
So apart from Ray, who was your favourite Arsenal player?
I was a big fan of Ray, yeah. Big fan. I love Bergkamp. I remember the first time watching Henri though, and you see how fast he could run, how high he could jump. Like he was just, I'd never seen anything like that, you know. But yeah, I suppose I love watching Dennis Bergkamp, you know. I like Mark Overmars because he was a little fella on the wing, which is where I used to play, and you know, he was only little, you know. It was, but yeah, they were. And you had the two boys in the middle were just sensational as well, weren't they? Everyone in that team was.
Henri in full sprinting modes, like the best 3-year-old colt, isn't he? The Derby, the speed at which he moves.
He'd be the Guineas winner, I would have thought.
Yeah, but it was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And also there was something balletic and beautiful about it, wasn't there?
That team then, they were just a joy to watch, weren't they? It was something new as well. It was that time when the Premier League was, you know, it was just turning into what it is, and that rivalry they had with Man United. Everyone looks back on that as probably almost a golden era. It was two great teams, managers that had been there a long time. Their identities were all over the teams, and they'd win about it in different ways. And it was great to watch.
Ron's right, Ray, isn't he? I mean, your career was, if you like, neatly divided into two. When you started, it was all British and Irish, pretty much. The odd player, but basically. And then by the time you left Arsenal in the Invincible season, it was a cosmopolitan United League of Nations.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, no one expected Arsene Wenger to get the job, if I'm being honest, after Bruce Rioch. Everybody thought it was to be another British manager. And David Dean had been tracking him through Monaco and Grand Passat. And when he first turned up, the lads were shocked, really. I mean, this guy comes in and we're all looking at each other, who's he? Because no one really knew who he was. But from day one, he was magnificent. He really was. You could see the focus. I'm not disrespecting any of my managers I played under, but he was the best by a mile. I mean, just the training methods, the way he just let everybody go and express themselves, and you know, and the training sessions were so good. I couldn't wait to go training most days. You know, you're getting straight in, and I'll be out on that pitch first, and it was just enjoyable. And seeing a great team develop into even better team was great to be part of, really. I mean, and you know, and what I loved about Arsene, you know, when we was training, we trained hard and really, you know, put the work in. But off the field, he was a really nice character. Really loved a laugh, loved a bit of humour, and that made him as well. Because the lads loved playing under him, and we'd run through a brick wall for him, definitely.
But you took the mickey out of him, didn't you?
Yes, a little bit, but you know, he was just that Inspector Clouseau look, and you know, he was a little bit clumsy, if I'm being honest. We'd fall downstairs and get trips up in nets and all that sort of stuff. But do you know what I loved about Arsene? He laughed at himself, and that's a really good trait to have. If you make a mistake, just laugh at yourself, and that's what the players did with their self. You get taken the mick out sometimes, but you give it back a little bit, and then you laugh, you know, and that's team spirit for me. And Arsene was very good like that. He was always, you know, having a laugh and being. But look, when you worked, you had to work. You made sure you had that hour and a half intensity. And what I loved about him, he was always on the clock. He knew exactly when the levels were dropping in consistency in the training session. Then he would change it completely. And now your mind's thinking about something else now. He didn't overdo things in time wise, because your concentration does go down after 15, 20 minutes, and then you get your concentration goes back up again. So he was a genius at that, and I don't think there's many players who played under Arsene. And this don't happen a lot with managers that would have a bad word to say about him. You know, even when he got rid of players, he done it in the right way, if you know what I mean. He got them out and said, look, you're going to go on, you're not going to be part of my plans, but I'm going to help you have a really good career still. And he always done that to every single player, which is a gentleman.
I think we could say Arsene Wenger is a genius. Aidan O'Brien is a genius. I think we could agree on that. Can you see some similarities?
Yeah, listen to Ray talk there, absolutely. Like, same thing when I go to Ballydoyle, I can't wait to go in there. And we work hard there in the mornings, like they're tough mornings. They'll start at 7, we won't be finishing till gone 1 o'clock, and there'll be a lot of horses to gallop, but it's all good fun. And what Aidan does, you know, the fitness is obviously important, but you train the minds, and the minds of the horses and the riders, and you have everyone pulling the same way. The same thing, you build that spirit amongst the riders in the yard, and everyone has a good time. We have, we rushing around getting on horses, but it's a really good, really enjoyable environment, and we're working with the best horses. Like Ray, we've been working with the best players, and when you're working with people and everything's high quality, you don't want to be the one to drop the ball. You need to hit them standards.
They often say these are people who've got degrees in humans, aren't they, as much as anything? Is that what Aidan's like too? It's not just a question of training a brilliant racehorse. It's getting the best out of you and his jockeys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to bring people with you, don't you? You have to get everyone pulling in the same direction, and that's what he does. Very smart man, and his feel for the horses. He understands them and get inside their heads and he knows what he has to do to bring the best out of them.
They often say who motivates the motivator. It can be quite lonely at the top in that sense, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever feel that with Wenger, thinking this is brilliant, but who's actually doing this for him? He's doing it for you and the team, but who's doing it for him?
I think he'd done it for himself. I think he just loved football. I mean, he was addicted to watching games, and you could see the passion that he showed. Even now, you see him and you remember back at certain games, and he's always watching football still. He's always wants to be part of. He's such an intelligent guy to be part of football, and if you can ask him about anything to be involved in football, and he would know the answers and give you advice and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure a lot of the guys who've been managers, who've gone on to be managers or coaches, have gone to Arsene and said, "Arsene, could you help me a little bit?" And he'd be first one to help you. So he was a master, and he enjoyed it as much as the players. I could sense that, when we're playing well, when he's winning games, he's loving it. He just used to see the smile on his face. He enjoyed watching us get better and better and better and better, and winning trophies and trophies. He loved every minute of it. So we got much enjoyment out of doing that, but so did he.
I mean, football was a bit of an art for him, wasn't it, actually?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look, when you sit down with him, he wasn't the best player in the world, because when we used to have 8v8s, he would try to join in, but no one wanted him on their team because we wanted to win the game, the 8v8. But he would always have such a great knowledge of every sort. You could ask him about Spain, a Spanish player, he knows him, sort of stuff. So he was a genius in that sense. He knew everything about the clubs and all that sort of stuff, history of certain clubs, and he was just a football fanatic, I would call him.
Is there any similarities in the way that you train as a jockey to the way that the footballers would train to get fit?
Oh, I don't really see. Our sport is weight making, so a lot of our training is really keeping the weight down. We have to, you have to work on things with your strength as well. Your grip and upper body strength and power in your legs, and your calves and stuff, and your quads. But I would work pretty hard every day. The horses are fit. Mine has to be fit as well. And it's like we said earlier, it's about doing your best and keeping them standards high. That's what you learn from listening to Ray there, talking about the standards that was expected, and Arsene being a big football fan, but he'd know the levels that people had to be and what was expected, and I know what's expected of me.
Has the way that you train changed at all since you became a professional?
Oh, I've been riding horses since I was 16. I've been professional since I think I was 18, really. So as you get older, you have to keeping your fitness you have to work on it a bit more, and you have to change things. But I'm in a fortunate position. I can do things the right way.
It changed a lot when you were playing, because pre-season, when you started, you were running up sand dunes, weren't you?
Yeah, it was.
And you didn't see a football for about 3 days in July.
That was the amazing thing, really. We find the biggest hill in North London, and we'd be up Trent Park usually, and we'd be running up the hills non-stop as much as we could until someone was sick or something like that. But then suddenly, when Arsene Wenger come in, we always run around the pitch. And he said, well, we run on the pitch. I know it can make you a bit more stamina, maybe run up hills. And the first day we saw a ball in the afternoon, we never saw a ball for a week under other managers, sort of thing. You had fitness tests and all that sort of stuff. But Arsene Wenger was very clever in the fact it's not about being fit the first day of pre-season. It's about being fit the last day of pre-season. So what he done blocks. So the first block was pretty easy, if I'm being honest, compared to other managers, because what you're doing then, you've had 6 weeks, 5 weeks off, it's just getting your body back into the rhythm of playing. And suddenly then once our bodies now are reacting every day, we know exactly what to expect, the body's expecting, then we get harder. And then we had the third block, which was a pre-season tour somewhere in Austria, or we usually went to Europe, not very much what they do now, America and Asia and all those sort of places, and then find a really remote area, like a forest somewhere, which no one knew existed, and then we'd be running around the forest, but it's getting harder and harder. The 2 sessions a day, 3 sessions a day sometimes, but now your body's really in the motion. And no word of a lie, the first day of the season started, I felt so good. My body was ready to go. I could run 13 kilometres that day, no problem. And that's what Arsene Wenger was, again, always looking forward and saying, well, it's not about getting injured the first week, it's about the last day of pre-season.
Training the athlete, he has to last the whole year. So you have to condition them, they have to hit their marks.
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose nowadays it's a lot more, we understand it an awful lot better. I suppose, back in
technology and everything about it.
And did you have to learn that? I've got to be fit the whole way through. So it's a question sometimes of when to push down and when just to ease off a little bit in terms of your training.
Yeah, well, I'll try to keep fairly level all year, but with the horses, they have to be conditioned correctly, and they have to hit their points, and when they hit their points, they can move on to the next level.
But let me ask you about international racing. It's a very international sport these days. How much do you enjoy that side of it?
Yeah, I love riding abroad. I think it's massively important for the sport that the organisations all around the world are working together, and we have, we're just working amongst ourselves and making the sport better. Obviously, from a young age, I went to Hong Kong, and I've always enjoyed riding there. It's racing's run really well there. It's they've 2 racetracks, and they're both very well run. Competitive racing. It's probably how racing should be. I get to ride in Japan, Australia, and America, the Middle East. A few places sort of growing, but I've been fortunate to ride in many places all around the world.
Are there things that we can learn here from the way that racing is staged overseas?
Yeah, absolutely, but a lot of people have learnt from here first, and they've gone back and they've taken the good stuff. And racing in the UK, there's many different sort of factions, I suppose, that they all want to do the right thing, but they kind of have their own interests at heart. In other places like Hong Kong, Japan, it's kind of one central body that has all the say and all the pull. But racing abroad it's obviously it's rewarding, and it's great to go somewhere else. And
when you look at the pictures of somewhere like Happy Valley or Sha Tin in Hong Kong, that looks, the crowds, apart from anything else, it just looks extraordinary.
Yeah, well, Happy Valley is it's great nights racing. If you're going to take anyone to a race course to show them how racing should be, that would be where I recommend going. Sha Tin's a beautiful track. They have the high class racing there. All the horses stable there. But you could do Happy Valley on Wednesday nights is a good place to go.
Is that on your bucket list, Ray, or have you done it?
Well, no, I've been there. I've been to Happy Valley. I had a wonderful night. It really was, and it's just amazing, really. It's a really competitive field, and I wasn't very happy when I walked out, but I didn't get many winners. But it was just a real unbelievable eye-opener. You go to different tracks. This is the first time I've ever been to any other track around the world, really. Obviously, I've been racing in England quite often, but to go there, and I remember just sitting there in a nice little, having a nice meal, and I remember looking across the track and all the flats with their lights on, people watching the racing from their flats, and no, it's just a brilliant night, and I would recommend it to anybody, because that was my first experience of it, and it was a wonderful night. It really was.
Has a day at the races always been your relaxation, even when you were playing?
Yeah, I used to have horses with Kevin Ryan back in the day. I had a few horses up there with Ian Poulter, the golfer. And I really, really enjoyed racing. I'd always be racing, especially when I played for Middlesbrough, because there was lots of tracks up in the North East where you could go racing on a regular basis. York was a great track, and all them sort of guys, Redcar, Ripon, all the older tracks sort of thing. But it was just a nice evening. It's always a really good, atmosphere when you go racing. Everybody's in there for a good time. Everybody enjoys watching the racing, enjoys seeing the jockeys really working hard and doing what they do best. And everybody goes away with a smile on their face when they go racing. So a lot of the lads used to like it, and we used to get, especially when there was more British players in, we used to always have days out at, Lingfield back in the day, Huntingdon, and all, try and do as much as we could. Goodwood was probably one of my favourite tracks. Glorious Goodwood is a great meeting. But there's some stunning tracks. Newmarket obviously is great as well. The 1,000 Guineas and 2,000. But I do love my racing.
Well, I think sportsmen and women have great appreciation for other sportsmen and women. That's the thing, isn't it?
I wouldn't want to get a horse.
But you all understand what the other has been through to get where you are at the top of your sport.
Definite sort of comparisons between sports, and look, I appreciate anyone that's doing their sport at a high level, and I enjoy my football, enjoy my tennis, athletics, NFL, whatever. If it's high level, I'll watch it.
There are some big Arsenal fans who have been in the weighing room. Frankie Dettori, AP McCoy with the jumps. What's the sporting chat in the weighing room? People talk football, or are people in such a hurry they don't really have a conversation about sport?
Yeah, no, the boys were talking about football.
Is football the main thing?
Yeah, well, I'd say among sports, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Who supports which team? Can you tell us?
Obviously, we have a lot of the Irish boys in there. They seem to be Man United fans, Liverpool fans. I'll often put the football on. A lot of the valets be watching the football matches on in between races,
Oh, in between races, yeah. Is that a way of just decompressing as well? Is that really important for you, that you need to be able to, as you say, when it matters, you've got to be up there, but you also need just to decompress a little bit when it matters? Otherwise, you've just got a constant burst of anxious energy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have anxious energy, but I'd always be keeping my eye on the scores anyway.
Would you want to know the results straight away? Or some people want to see the highlights later on?
Yeah, no.
You get certain people who just want to see the highlights. They don't want to know the result. And in a weighing room, maybe in a weighing room, people, look, what happened to your team today? And you go, no, don't tell me.
No, I'm very relaxed about it. Yeah. I kind of like to know what's going on. Yeah. Because you'll hear about it anyway nowadays.
I need to know as well. I would need to know.
Yeah. Were you good at decompressing? Because, it might be people say to you, Ray, you've got to win this weekend. Got to win this weekend. You're thinking, I know all that. But actually, I don't want to get into that state today because it's now Thursday lunchtime and I'm filling the car out of the garage.
I just think you just got to get your head around the week's training. I mean, you mentioned Dennis Bergkamp. Now, he's probably one of the best trainers I've seen. But Dennis couldn't go into a training session and, take his eye off the ball. It would be, or I'm not going to do as much as I usually do in training. He wants to go out there, do the best he can in every training session, because you take that onto the pitch then on the weekend. And I was very similar. I had to train very hard to get the performance right at the weekend. I couldn't go through the motions in training. I couldn't say, right, Tuesday and Wednesday, I don't fancy it. I'm going to go out there and just get involved a little bit and not get. But I had to be proper 100% to be ready to go into that game at the weekend.
But that makes sense because we loved it.
But there's certain other players who could do that. There's certain players who's really good in training who couldn't do it at the weekend. Another way, some players like Patrick in training. He was usually
Vieira.
Yeah,
was he not very good?
But on a Saturday, he'd turn up. So there's certain people who can do that, but I wasn't one who could turn it hot and cold. Dennis couldn't do that. If Dennis had a poor training week, then might struggle a little bit at the weekend.
Well, you couldn't do that because you're on a horse. You've got to. I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
When you're riding out every morning, you're full at it. You have to be.
Yeah. I've been riding horse my whole life, and it's just a very natural thing for me to go get on a horse. If I get an injury, if I've been off for 2 months or 3 months, I'll get back on a horse, and it doesn't feel like I missed a day. If I'm being honest, I can just get back on and do it.
Well, let's finish where we started, which is the Etihad this weekend. You're going to be riding then.
I'll be riding at the car.
So, will somebody tell you the result? Will you look at your phone? What happens?
You will hear the result as it's going.
If it's gone the wrong way, someone's going to be telling you quickly, aren't they?
Either way. There's Arsenal fans in there.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll be watching.
And are you a nervous watcher of Arsenal now?
I'll try and kick every ball still, especially if I'm over at the stadium. You really get involved with the crowd and see the players. But yeah, I just want the best for Arsenal football. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I want the best for them. And I'd be over the moon if they could win a trophy this year. I mean, the Premier League is the one. I know they got to the latter stages of the FA Cup and obviously the League Cup, but really, when you look at the bigger picture, the Premier League was the one to win. We've not won it for a long, long time. and Man City dominated.
If I'd said to you that day at Highbury when you are picking up the trophy as the modern Invincibles, that 22 years later and counting they haven't won a title, you went, no chance.
Exactly.
You would have said no.
It's a little bit like Liverpool, wasn't it? When we beat them at Anfield 2-0. If you said they're not going to win it for 30 years, no chance. And that's what happened with Liverpool. So it can happen in big clubs. So it's be a big trophy to win for the group of players, Mikel Arteta as well, and the board as well. So which they deserve as well because they really stuck behind the manager.
Ryan, do you think Arsenal will win the title?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Quite confidence of the jockey there.
I've been confident all year. So
yeah, I'm not going to change my mind. I'm still very bullish about Arsenal to win the title. I know it might go down to the wire now, very tight games, but I still think they've got enough in them to get a result at the Etihad and to go on to win the title.